Welcome back, Nap Trappers. Hello, hello. Hi, Beck.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back to your most favorite, self-proclaimed, most favorite baby sleep podcast. We are Sally and Beck, and we are both, surprise, surprise, sleep consultants. And we host this podcast to help quiet the noise out there about baby sleep. It is incredibly loud. Explain the why behind a lot of the strategies and share the method behind our madness. And honestly, just have a good old chinwag about baby sleep, one of our most favorite topics.
I know we do love to have a chat, and we do talk a lot. So it's nice to find a place to put all of our information and wealth of knowledge into one spot so that you guys get to enjoy it and hopefully put some tips into action. So yes, Nap Trapped it is.
Now, we both work same, but differently. And I think that's also another reason why we've been doing this podcast, is to show that not every sleep consultant is pitting themselves against each other. You can have great results even if things work slightly differently. My question for you today is, what is your favorite emoji, or what's your most commonly used? And we'll see if ours are different. That might give an insight into our deeper personalities.
I mean, I can think of 3 that spring to mind in terms of emojis.
Okay, yeah, I've got 2.
Okay, so the first one, randomly, I use a palm tree. So when I'm texting my clients every morning to remind them of our quick chats, I do a quick chat every morning with clients just to get a wrap-up call of how the night went. At the end of the text, a palm tree always goes there. And I'm not actually sure why. I think it just gives this little holiday flair. I don't know. But I love the picture. I don't know why. It feels
I
like
did not know that
uplifting.
you do that.
Yeah, so I put a palm tree there.
Give me a palm tree. Now I feel like I'm left out from happy hour or something.
Well, if you're calling me for sleep help, then maybe you'll get a palm tree. Then the other emoji,
I love that. It's your little signature.
That's my signature. The second most used would be the muscle arm. So like the bicep arm of like, great work, amazing job, you've got this, like all of those things. Like, I back you, you've super strong, you've got this. And then the third one would be a shark, because you may have heard me talking a lot about the football club and all the things that I do for that. And so a shark is there's a lot of emojis, shark emojis going in left, right, and center. So those are my top 3.
Power meets paradise kind of vibes.
I love. Let's assess yours. Okay. What are yours?
Mine are probably a bit more emotive. I do a lot of the 2 big eyes of like the baby's just linked to sleep cycle. We're not looking, but I'm looking, but we won't make eye contact.
God. Like, amazing. Like, did you just see that? Oh my
gosh. Yeah. But we're not going to jinx it. Okay. Everyone be cool. Back away from the monitor.
Like, don't say anything, but we're watching. Yeah.
Or like when we get messages about everyone's so much better rested, the whole house is calmer, and my 10-month-old is doing some independent play on the mat while I'm checking in. I'm like, don't look now. It's happening. So I do a lot of that. I also do a lot of the like half melted face. That's probably more just like me socially, of like, oh boy, I missed that school memo, or
I've done it again.
Yeah, I've done it again. Or to my husband of like, oh, like, why did you do that? Or why didn't you get that at the supermarket? I'm like, a lot of half melty.
When you've when you've just completed one of your hardcore sessions at the gym as well. Like, you like to sort of, that was great, but I'm also dying
I'm also half dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you'd come in strong with the strong arm. And I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm struggling. And the other one is I do that like half-eyed, not the sad one. The like, oh my God, that's so cute. You know, it's like half tear.
Yeah.
Like your eyes are well.
Yeah, they're brimming tears. My gosh.
Yeah.
Yes,
so even if that's like something that I share about my own children, or even if my husband sends me a photo from a birthday party, like if we've divided and conquered, I'm like, oh my goodness. Or if clients send me photos of their babies, or like them doing their independent play because everyone's well rested, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I send a lot of those. I think that's like
a
be
really
my roundup.
like pride, like just the well of pride going into those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've seen how much I cry about lots of things, so it's probably very on brand.
I love that. We're both so different when it comes to our emojis. How
Yeah, well, now I'm
funny.
thinking I need a signature sign off on my
Mm,
messages. I use
you
my
do.
laptop a lot though for work, and then I don't have the emojis, but
Can't you just left click? Right, left click?
oh, Beck, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I
I'd probably just
do
set you down the
know,
garden path.
yeah, I'll have to deep dive down a Reddit thread about how to do
Yeah.
emojis. I always tell clients I am much better with baby sleep than I am with technology. So that would be
Mhm.
case in point. And speaking of baby sleep, today's main topic of our new superpower design of the Nap Trapped episode, we are talking about the early rising protocol.
Everyone's favorite.
Which is everyone's favorite. We're going to be walking through what we do to fix an early rise in terms of technique in the hours of, let's say, I'll start it at 4 a.m. We definitely work with babies in the 4s,
100%.
4 till 7 a.m. And it's something that if you're a long time listener, you'll have heard us refer to the early rising protocol because it kind of feels like it's a prescription at that hour, isn't it?
Oh, totally. And you need to have a really clear, precise plan of what you're going to do because you can, like, while Sally, you're our unflappable leader, as you'd like to say, there is, at 5:30, we are starting to flap because if a baby's been awake since 4 o'clock and we don't have a clear plan of what we're trying to achieve or like how this is going to benefit us in the days to come, it's really hard to follow through. Absolutely so difficult because you're just seeing the time tick down so quickly and you're thinking they're never going to fall back to sleep. So having a really clear plan of exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve and the steps that you need to take is super important.
So I think before we even get started on the actual steps and the protocol, I think it's really important that we identify what we are talking about when we say early rise, because there is definitely cases, and we're both working with one example in Camps News at the moment, where baby has been put to bed at 6 p.m. and then is waking up 5:30, but was told to treat that as an early rise all the way until 7, even though off the back of a 6 p.m. bedtime, you and I would say they've just hit their quota. They're just on a different schedule. For us, that's not an early rise. That was an early to bed. It feel like just early up scenario. You're just on a different time zone.
That's what we would call a Dicky schedule because if
All
you,
that.
yeah, it's because if you're looking for your day to start at 7 o'clock in the morning, but your baby is going to bed at 6 o'clock, and realistically, we're looking for 11 to 12 hours overnight. So a bedtime of 6 is going to get you a realistic rise of somewhere between 5 and 6 in the morning.
Absolutely.
So that's where we know that it's not an early rise as such. It's just a Dicky schedule because you would rather be on a different one. You'd rather be.
Yeah, and unrealistic expectations of 13 hours in the
Oh,
cot.
yeah. Yeah. We just don't subscribe to that. I mean, absolutely, there can be children that absolutely can smash out 13 hours because typically they've been, they've had to have a rescue plan of like a 6 p.m. bedtime, but their schedule is actually more of a 7 to 7 schedule. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if their day
Yeah.
has got a little bit dicky, then like through the day, the naps have been a bit wonky and the rescue plan is a 6 p.m. bedtime, they're typically going to be more able to sort of get to a 13-hour night because their internal clock is wired into a 7 a.m. wakeful time. So so 13 hours is a little bit too much for us. We try and work to the
For an
realistic side.
ongoing expectation rather than the rescue plan, which is when
That's
we would
right.
absolutely say, early to bed. So it's important that in terms of our definition, I guess, is that we're looking for 11 to 12 hours of sleep overnight. And with most babies probably sitting more in the 11 and a half-ish, would you say? That's where we aim to get our families. And then part of what you'll hear us talk about is that we continue to delay up until 7 a.m. and the difference between sort of up and awake time. But it's important to know that from a sleep science, sleep totals perspective, if baby's going to bed too early, it's not an early rise. It's just a Dicky schedule. So assuming you are not on a Dicky schedule, let's talk about, because let's say baby's gone to bed at 7:30 p.m. And hello, 5 a.m.
Hello, 5 a.m. And if we know that this little one isn't needing any milk feeds overnight, and we have definitely ruled out cold being a factor, light coming through the curtains, so we're just going to assume that all of the environment issues are all sorted, the brown noise or white noise is still on, all of those factors are taken care of, then it's a case of understanding that if the more we put into trying to get our little ones back to sleep at that time of the night/morning, the more stimulated they become, the more resistant they are to falling back asleep. And then we're going to have hoo-ha town for a really long time. So the key is to ensure that you understand you've got a 7 a.m. uptime. So it can all play out all the way up till 7 o'clock. So you don't necessarily need to worry about your little one falling back to sleep. We're just trying to create a really clear pattern of response from 5:30 onwards.
Essentially, we want you to treat it as an overnight waking.
Yeah.
Even though it feels like it's so close to starting the day, we'll be the first to say it's a really horrible time for parents because it is. You're ready. You don't want to be awake, but you could be awake. We know sleep pressure is often wearing out for babies and parents alike. And there's also the ongoing narrative of, oh, well, that's babies, that's toddlers, that's children. Start your day at 5:30, which if that is your jam and that works for your family, you do not have to do what we're saying.
Yeah.
This is for the families, which is absolutely me. I do not want to start my day in the fives. Unless it's for me personally to go to the gym or do something for me. But in terms of starting our day as a family, it is too early for us. And so that's what this protocol is for, is that when you have everything else lined up, but you still have an early rise. And I think it's important to identify the three main contributing factors to what's going to signal to your baby that it is, in fact, time to get up in the fours or the fives. And this is just super simplifying it, but it's essentially food, light, and stimulation. And so when we think about what is causing that alarm clock to go off, if they see their most favorite person in the world, it can feel a bit game over. If you pop them into your bed and that's not something that you want to sustain, then that is worth waking up for. Something happens at this time during a very fragile time of sleep that is worth waking up for. Do you take them to the kitchen to make the bottle before trying to pop them back into bed? That's going to continue this pattern going. Do you offer an ongoing feed, an extra bottle that potentially they don't need? And do you just start your day? Do you say, and look, we're all picking our battles at this time. None of this is with any kind of shame or judgment of, oh my goodness, you gave them an iPad and they watched Bluey so that you could get another hour of, tossing and turning with them at least quiet next to you in bed. No, we're all trying our absolute best. But those are the moments that can reinforce these wake ups. So we want to do less at this hour so that there is nothing fundamentally fun that is worth waking up for. That we treat it like because you're not going to be doing that at 11 p.m.
No, this is
let's
correct.
assume babies doesn't need a feed overnight or doesn't need a feed at 11. You're not bringing them into your bed to watch Bluey at 11. You're not probably taking them out to have playtime on the mat. You're not starting your day. You're not saying, all right, that's it, no problem. Everyone's up. So we want you to have that same mentality in the early hours of the morning.
I also think that it's often a case for families where maybe their little one is sleeping, they didn't have the greatest sleep. Maybe they've got to a point that they're going down and they're sleeping seamlessly all the way through until 5:30 in the morning. And from that point onwards, it feels like any sleep training at that point just will not work. But it is still sleep training. You can still sleep train to have your little one waking later. The hard part is that between 5 and 5:30, most fragile time in the morning, most babies and toddlers are going to wake to try and start their day there. It's our job to retrain the internal body clock just to expect that it's not time to get up and that they can, in fact, go back off to sleep and enjoy another 1 to 2 sleep cycles before it is time to get up. So the key is using your strategy that you would use overnight in terms of less is more and, offer that opportunity for your baby to, in fact, go back off to sleep without using so many tools to go back down. And one thing that we often see is a feed going in there. So like you just said before, there's a feed that goes into the mix. If the feed, say, worked at 5 o'clock and it was a tiny feed and it just got baby back off to sleep and then they woke at 7 o'clock to start the day and you were happy with that, great. But the clincher
You
is
wouldn't need
if
this episode either, probably.
you wouldn't
Because
need it.
you wouldn't think it was early rising. Yeah.
Exactly. But if the feed is in there and they're not going back off to sleep and there's still multiple attempts to resettle and reshuffle and you're sitting in the chair trying, that feed is not doing the job that it's intended to do. So we get rid of it. Like there's just, you would rather just have a really clear, consistent response. So the key, I think, is coming up with a plan. And it really involves having a really clear messaging of, I am here, but it's not time to get up, and repeat, 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 and doing very little. So it's kind of a little different that, say, if you were doing an in and out approach, time checks sort of type of scenario overnight, and we might have a phrase and 3 pats that we might say overnight. When it gets to 5:30 and your little one is awake, we want to really dial that back again, because going in, saying a phrase, doing 3 pats could potentially be just a little bit too much in terms of that.
Too much of that.
It is too
yes,
stimulating.
The socialization. Yeah.
Yeah. So
come back and do it again.
Yeah. And so you want to try and hold off doing quick intervals as well. The longer you can leave it, the better. So if you've got a little one that's grumbling and moaning and chatting and yelling, low grade anything, you're leaving them to it. They can muck around in their cot for as long as it takes for them to either A, go back off to sleep, or B, escalate. And if they escalate, then what we really want you to do is to wait a good 7 to 10 minutes before even considering going in. If you need to go in to remind them that you're still there, not at the pub, then what you would do is you would go in. You might just give them 3 pats without actually saying the phrase. Or you might go in and whisper the phrase but not do the 3 pats. You're doing a lot less. You're literally ninjering in, you're ninjering out. You might just hand them the dummy silently. You might hand them their comforter silently. You're in, you're out. And that's it for another 7 to 10 minutes. And then you reassess at that point. And if they really are super escalated, go back in, do the same thing. But if they're not, leave them to it. Less is more. And it feels hard, but we're not exact. And like a lot of families feel like, oh gosh, but if I leave them for too long, they're going to get so escalated that they're not going to be able to calm down. And I think what we need to remind families of when we're starting the early rise protocol is that it's about retraining the internal clock rather than encouraging them to go back off to sleep. So we have to have a starting point of we're teaching them when uptime is. And uptime is determined by food, light, and stimulation, all the things that we're trying to avoid in these earlier parts. So the moment the clock hits 7 o'clock, we go in. Good morning, well done. Da, 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 da. We're having a feed. We're having chitty chats.
Blinds open.
Yep, natural light. That will stimulate the internal clock to understand that that's go time. And it just means that every time we repeat every morning, the internal clock is wiring into 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And if there's no deviation from the plan and you're really consistent with your low stimulation response, then what tends to happen is the internal clock recognizes that nothing fun is happening at 5:30. So instead of waking and being awake for a good hour and a half, then it means that they are relaxed enough to understand that uptime is more closer to 7 o'clock. Instead of waking at 5:30 and being awake for a long time without doing anything, I may as well just go back off to sleep for a little bit longer. So instead of seeing big jumps, what you might find is that you might have a 5:30 waking for a couple of mornings and then it becomes 5:40. And then it might become 5:45, and then all of a sudden it's 5:55, and then a few days later it's 6:05. And so your child is starting to wake closer to when the uptime is. That's sort of the realistic goal. Not that they're necessarily going back to sleep during this protocol, but that they are getting closer to when all the fun is happening. Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. The other way I sometimes see it play out is that they go back to sleep. So it may not be initially that they go incrementally later. That eventually happens, but sometimes it's that they still wake at 5:30. On day one, they do not go back to sleep at all, which for us is no drama at all. It is absolutely what we would anticipate. If they do go back to sleep, fantastic. but it is not a failure. You have just not reinforced the early rise. It will get better as time goes on. But then it might be that at 6:15, you start seeing them nuzzle back down into the mattress. They're trying to find their dummy. They'll be asleep or quiet, what I call a long blink for 2 minutes, and then they're back up and they're actively trying to go back to sleep. I have had babies fall back asleep at 6:51, and this week we had a baby go back to sleep at 6:55.
Yes.
And that is what we are wanting, and that is also why we delay until 7 a.m. Not because we're shooting for this absolutely 10 out of 10, 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. fast asleep from start to finish. It's so that we don't miss the opportunity for a baby to do what we're asking them to do. We actually have to overreach to 7 so that because otherwise if we pulled the pin at 6:15, we don't get them to fall back asleep at 6:30, 6:51, 6:55. And so it just prolongs the protocol. And that's why we delay getting up until 7 a.m. And if they go back to sleep at 6:51 or 6:55, we will still get you to wake them up at 7. And it feels really hard on that morning because they've finally done it. But the next morning, you know that sleep pressure is in fact still there. That skill set is still there in the early hours, and you'll watch it get better and better and better. You just have to give it time, both in the moment, but also if you think about the body clock, we need to give it time. If you've had this ongoing alarm clock go off at 5:30 in the morning for them and you've got up and started your day, or you've given them a banana or bluey, that takes time to retrain, and we have to allow that. It's not a race. It's not the same as like, and in 3 nights, your baby is sleep trained. Give it time. If you think about it from the perspective of jet lag, and this is always my favorite analogy, it can take a couple of weeks, especially for me. I'm like 14 days and then I'm on the new time zone. Babies can definitely respond to it a little bit faster, but that's the sort of time frame, like a solid 7 to 10 at least, if not 2 weeks. There is nothing else to do but this, but also to just rationalize it all in your head when we're saying we're not going to get them up, we're not going to bring in a feed, and we're not going to have a chat at that hour. If we were doing the same for us with jet lag, like if you and I were off in London right now, Beck, we're going to have to lie there awake. We know we're not going to open the blinds. It's tedious. And yes, we're adults and we can put logic behind it. We're not ordering breakfast at 4 a.m. and we're not getting up to have a chat. And we just have to ride it out, and it gets better over time. So
that's correct.
That's the logic that we want you to apply for what can feel a bit emotional at 5:30 in the morning.
And there is, like when we're working on the early rise protocol, the next step to that is it works in conjunction with the first nap. So there's an early rise protocol for what you do when they're waking early, but then the next step is to ensure that the first nap isn't too early. Now, these two steps work hand in hand, and we have to get them right in order for the next night and the next morning to be a little easier and smoother for everybody. So for most families who are working on the early rise, I would say they're probably over the age of, say, 6 months. And we're having the first nap start no earlier than 9:30. Now, that can feel like a really big stretch, but there is method to the madness. Like we always say this, there is absolute method to the madness. If we had a little one who was waking at 5:30 and they didn't go back off to sleep, it feels like the most incredibly long, hard slog to get them to 9:30.
Yeah.
It's this one moment in time where we just have to push the friendship and just muddle through, because if we put our little ones then down at, say, 7:30, because they've had a 2.5 hour wake window, 7:30, 8 a.m., all we're doing in that moment is
reinforcing it.
We reinforce the early rise. All
I don't
those
have to go back to
moments.
sleep.
Yep.
Because I get to have a nap now. And it's not, they're not thinking, we're just talking about the body clock.
Yeah.
It's sleep pressure, it's sleep science. We have to push to the first nap. They are allowed to be cranky, grizzly. You can worry about overtiredness. We don't care if you fully assist the nap just to get it in. It is a very short-term problem or symptom of fixing an early rise that will also become so much easier once baby starts to sleep better and longer and later. They'll have reserve to easily make it till 9:30.
We really back our early rise protocol because we've been doing this for many, many, many years now, and we see the results week in, week out.
Yeah.
For families that feel like there is absolutely no hope to get a later wake or to have a later bedtime, they're just sort of on this path of early rise, early to bed kind of thing. And we really back ourselves that this works, and it can be a game changer in terms of like the structure of your day, how it pans out, the guesswork.
The whole family though.
Yeah.
The whole family benefits from not having to start at the crack of dawn and then potentially end up having to absolutely race home every night because your whole day is starting too early and ending really early. I think when I speak to families, one of the biggest reasons they haven't yet done it is the understandable fear of the work that needs to be done. Like, I can't be bothered. And I say that like, I couldn't probably be bothered to. Like, I know that sentiment. Of like, I know I need to fix this, but 5:30 in the morning, it's the last thing I want to do. But once you start, the thing we then hear from parents is like, gosh, I wish I'd just done this 3 months ago.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you have to pick your heart. And if getting up with a cranky baby at 5:30 day in and day out is not sustainable, then we need to make change.
I agree.
Into the early rise protocol. I'm sure that listeners probably have a whole lot of sort of troubleshooting questions. There's a lot of what ifs.
Yep.
Please drop those in the comments wherever you listen to Nap Trapped, because we would love to, and maybe even do a follow-up question. Episode answering your troubleshooting the early rise protocol, because if you're wondering it, Beck and I have experienced it. I've even had a baby that was up at 4:16 and did not go back to sleep until 7, even at 7. And we have seen it all, and that baby still made it to sleep into the 6s, into 6:30, 6:45 by the end of the early rise protocol. So
they deserve the strong arm, don't they?
Strong arm, but that would have been me. I would have done the big eyes of like, don't look now, but we just
what about the melting emergence? Like that
was probably day one of like, did not go back to sleep from 4:16.
And then at the end they get the palm tree because look, we're there's no really rising. We could go on holiday now.
My ties all round. And then cute. How cute is the baby still asleep at 6:45?
Yes. Oh my God.
I think that's it. I think that's the early rising protocol. I think
we just wanted to do it in a nutshell. Yeah, simple
Yeah.
and hard at the same time. Like, we understand why parents leave it to the very last sleep. We actually call it the last 5% of our sleep work, because quite often these are the last things that need to be tied up, and it 100% can be achieved. You just need to be on board with consistency and persistence, and that's it. And having the mindset of it can be a slow process, but you're going to absolutely get there in the end, and it's going to be so worthwhile. 100%.
Absolutely. And just keep in mind, you want to have all of your other ducks in a row.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that the schedule is complementing the protocol, that your feeds, like all the other things. But in terms of what to do, less is more. You will treat 4:30, 5:30 like an overnight waking, and let baby use their skills, or at least figure out that it is not time to wake up yet. We'll see you at 7 a.m. Sleep Detectives, where we answer your real life baby sleep questions.
We do love this.
And we do love this, absolutely. Everyone ready for our first Sleep Detectives question?
Everyone ready? Great, let's go.
Everyone ready, listeners, checking in? Does the 4-hourly feeding schedule change after the age of 1 if we're still working on sleep?
Oh, this is a great question.
This is because it shows that you are actively working on sleep, and that you are paying attention to Nap Trapped. Right. Because keen listeners will know that basically from the age of 4 months plus, if we're going to plan with feeding, drinking and all of that, we will move to a 4-hourly feeding schedule. Breast or bottle, doesn't matter so long as baby is getting a full complete feed. And so this question is talking about if baby's already turned 1, do we continue on with that? And actually, we would have changed that roughly around 8 to 9 months when we would have dropped from 3 to 2 naps. It kind of goes hand in hand with how we schedule things.
Yeah, so when we drop from 3 to 2 naps, we move from 4 feeds to 3 feeds through the day. However, if you were working on sleep, say if this, well, I don't think she mentions that. I'm assuming it's a mum, but she doesn't mention that she's working on sleep. But if, say, you were working on sleep and you had a number of feeds overnight, we would start off with the 4-hour structure and then start whittling and weaning those feeds out of the mix for you. But in terms of like where we go with our feeds, this is a question that's often asked, is we move to 3 feeds through the day from 8 to 9 months. And then from 11 to 12 months, we start working on the middle of the day feed. So that usually is landing around the 1:30 mark before nap 2. And that's where we start reducing and eliminating the middle of the day feed, so that by the time you've reached the age of 12 months, you've got an optional feed in the morning, and we keep the bedtime milk feed for as long as anyone feels it's necessary.
Me personally, if you come to me at the age of 2.5 and you've got a pre-bed milk feed happening, I know it's just about ritual. We're not relying on it for calories. I just want toothy pegs to be brushed between. I mean, we want that even for babies with teeth, but I'm always just definitely making sure that that's happening for the older toddlers. But no, me personally, it doesn't bother me in the slightest.
So then I guess it just depends on that morning feed that's optional. And, you know, if you guys want to keep feeds in for a lot longer, totally fine. And the sleep is all we're looking at these things from a sleep perspective as well. So you can keep feeds. If sleep is looking totally hunky-dory, you keep doing you. In terms of if sleep wasn't looking the greatest, then what we might look at is the milk feed in the morning from the age of 12 months onwards. Is that impacting the appetite for solids in the morning? And if it is, and we're not starting the day on a great wicket with solids, we would maybe look at shifting that to after solids, or maybe eliminating it altogether, and having the calcium and milk component in different ways through the day. So yeah.
We'd also then be looking to make sure, not to make sure, but we would just be doing a quick audit of the overnight, if we've still got lots of overnight milk feeds, even after the age of 1, and how that then can contribute to lack of solids during the day. And then that gets compensated with bottles so that they've got something, but then it's a perpetuating cycle.
Yeah. So if there are calorie issues that have evolved from a lot of milk happening both day and night, that's one thing that we would work on with families, just to redistribute the calories, to move away from the milk being the main source to increasing appetite via solids. So we work with families all the time to redistribute those.
Yeah. All right. I've got another one. I think we're going to have different answers to this, actually, as I see it.
This is cool.
What transitional sleeping bag do you recommend for when babies start rolling over? Can I guess? Can I guess what you're going to say?
Yeah, you guess.
Okay. And then you can guess what I'm going to say. I'm going to guess you're going to say, don't bother with a transitional sleep sack. You just go arms out. Or, no, has baby just rolled over on the mat by accident?
Yeah.
In which case, that's not rolling in sleep, and we are going to swaddle till the cows come home, until the cows are rolling in the bassinet or the cot. At which point, you just go cold turkey, arms out, go in with a great settling technique, maybe even couple it with some active sleep training if necessary, but no need for the in-between step. Do I know you?
You know me so well, Sally. Like, it's black and white for me. Like, we're either in the swaddle or we're out of the swaddle, and we're just dealing with it. Rip the Band-Aid off. I'm a big believer in that. It just feels like sometimes there's so many steps and they just become accustomed to the next step before you then have to take the next step. And then it's you get the same hoo-ha all over again. So you may as well just do it once and do it properly, I believe.
I agree. I have one in-between thought, though.
Ooh,
and
okay.
I actually did this with I did it with both, is that I released one hand at a time, because mine were wearing Love to Dreams. They weren't in something like the Miracle Blanket, which I know you absolutely wax lyrical about, and as do I. And I noticed that my babies were sucking on their hand, on the little bat wing of the Love to Dreams.
Yeah.
And I released one little paw at a time, and both became thumb suckers, with that hand being released without it being a full-blown, oh my goodness, I'm just slapping my face, scratching, staying awake, with both hands out. And so what that meant is that they then found a way to self-soothe before the other hand was released. I also think that as a first-time parent, so with my daughter, who was an absolutely fantastic sleeper, it was still confronting releasing both hands and feeling like I'd lost that great sleeper and feeling a little bit lost in how to manage it. And because she wasn't actively flip-flopping, I felt like I had some time, and I just took it in bite-sized chunks. So I released one hand at bedtime and overnight, and then, 4 or 5 days later, I released the second one once she'd grown accustomed to that. I also think there is merit in it's black and white. Like, we either swaddled or we've got arms out and we'll cross that bridge. But I did an in-between.
I think it depends on if you've got sleep issues or not, really.
Yes.
So you can be a lot more relaxed about it and kind of go at a slower pace, like take the one wing off. I remember when the Love to Dream came out with those removable wings, like they were what a godsend. And it was so great for a lot of families. On that, there is a tip that I do have for that though too. So like if you do have a Love to Dream and you've got those removable wings, then if you're really struggling with getting arms free, sometimes it's a case of doing it. So instead of taking the wing off when they go to bed and as they're falling asleep, you can just release one arm after they've gone to sleep. You kind of unzip it and then allow them the freedom to work it all out while they're kind of in the twilight zone.
Ah, yep.
And then they get a little bit of exposure to it overnight without noticing so much. And then you can sort of release the other one. But for those families who have got sleep issues, like if we're working together, if I've got a client and there's sleep issues, I'm not doing the slowly approach. We're going full tilt.
No. If you came to me at 5 months and you were umming and ahhing about swaddling arms in, arms out, we're just going arms out because we're going in with a plan. And it has to, for me, I think it's it's helpful if that happens in conjunction. The other thing I'll say is that whenever you make any kind of change, whether it's one mitt out or we're going all in or all out rather with arms, is that we start it at bedtime. Whenever we make any kind of change.
Yeah.
Start it at bedtime when sleep pressure is on your side. That baby will absolutely fall asleep. It may be really messy and take a really long time, but at some point sleep pressure will win.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're trying to do it at 12:30 in the middle of the day, it can be a bit dicier.
100%.
I do remember there came a point where I was like, I just have to bite the bullet here. Like, we've got one arm. It's going to be messy. I'm just going to do it. And I think sometimes getting to that point can also be helpful. Full transparency, I even with my first, when I released the second, maybe even with, doesn't matter, one of the hands or both of the hands, she was in a little Bonds Wonder suit and I actually put the mittens over because otherwise she was a bit scratchy. Again, first-time mother, despite being a sleep consultant and nurse. I put the mittens over because that was just one less thing that was waking her up. And then I know, then also fingers would creep out of the little mittens and then I was like, okay, we're going for it. But I even had that as a little sideways step. But again, I didn't have sleep issues. I had time to sort of feel my way with it.
Well, my younger two were in the miracle blankets and they were over the age of 6 months before and I was like, this is probably they're probably a bit old now. Like, they weren't rolling. They weren't doing anything. I was like, release the arms. And then
it's very tricky to roll in the miracle blanket. You bought yourself a lot of time.
Yeah.
The little straight jacket.
Yeah, straight jacket. So I always remember saying to my husband that night, like, we're going to be in for it. We're going to be, brace for impact, the arms are out and it being so uneventful. So uneventful.
Well,
because
the lady
they just take great sleep.
Wait for any of these transitions. Yes. Yeah.
100%. So the key is don't panic when you see a little sort of snippet of a roll or they do it once, don't panic. Do not release the arms too quickly. Just try and hold on as long as you can, like to the swaddle.
Yeah. All right. We are going to wrap up today's episode. Forget Fast 5. We haven't got time for that. We're doing Fast 3, and these are just 3 things that we have noticed in the baby sleep world, or just baby niche in general, over the last week. Beck, take it away.
Okay. So I love, there's a person that I follow on Instagram, And he has just rocked my world recently because I have known about him for a while, but I've only really just started following him. And he has boosted my confidence so much when it comes to baby sleep and just being like convicted with my opinion on how things can look and the work that we do, Sally. So this is Dr. Sujay Kansagra. And he's a child
I am his
neurologist.
number one fan
Yeah,
girl.
same. And he's a child neurologist and a sleep doctor. And the way that he explains things, and you might have seen that I've shared a few things on, and you share them too, Sally. We're both big fangirls.
Yeah.
I think the way that he explains things to the average person makes a lot of sense. Like it takes a lot of the emotion out of it, and he knows his stuff.
Well, he went viral because, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. This is like me fangirling in real time. He went viral originally because he clapped back in the most understated academic and just humorous way at someone saying, "Oh, another pediatrician that hasn't done his research on the dangers of sleep training." And he did this video. Maybe we'll pop it in the show notes of. Hasn't done the research. I am the research. And just shows every paper about sleep training that he has contributed and participated in. And that was his clapback. It wasn't tearing anyone down or pulling it apart. It was just the research. and that was his moment. He went viral and everyone was like, I'm listening. Whether they listened because they agreed or not, but that's what got my attention. And I actually, before we started this podcast, which is we're now over a year in, Beck.
Yeah.
I DM'd him, still haven't heard back. I DM'd him basically being like, I love you and I love everything you're about. Would you ever come on our pod that doesn't exist yet? I promise it's going to be great. But maybe I should send just circling back.
Yes. Oh my God, do that. Yeah. Now that they can see we've done a few episodes.
He's brilliant. He's just brilliant.
He's just really concise and just really easy to listen to and a laugh. He's not he's not egotistical. He's not super brainiac. It is what it is. He's super factual. He just wants to make it seem less scary in a world of noise. And just
rely on the data for what can often be fueled by emotion and shame and fear-mongering is to just fall back on the data, and he is the research. And I love how he says there is no debate. There is no debate about whether or not sleep training is harmful when done appropriately. There's no debate. It's not. The research doesn't back that. It is, however, an option and merely an option for families, which you and I completely agree. No one has to sleep train if they don't want to. It does not have to be your jam, but going into it and being able to make an informed decision rather than we'll just have to grin and bear it. This too shall, all the struggles. I'm with you.
Well, he is releasing a new product. So he's been working on this behind the scenes for a number of years, hasn't actually spoken really about it at all.
It's very cryptic, isn't it?
Very cryptic. And it's called Lullaby. And he had a prototype in the back of his car the other day. So I am just glued. I thought it was going to be an app, but
it looked mattress related in that photo.
Ooh, so
I thought they looked mattressy, but it's not a smart bassinet. It's not a snoo 2.0 kind of thing. I'm very, very curious, and the whole thing is to get better sleep.
Yeah. So we'll pop him in the show notes so that you can, and we'll probably post him on our socials. So just stay tuned. We'll pop him on the Naptrapped IG too.
Maybe we can crowdfund some enthusiasm if everyone drops in his DMs being like, have you heard about Naptrapped?
God, please
you should probably go on there.
Yeah.
A girl can dream.
So we're eagerly awaiting whatever it is that he is dropping, and you guys should be too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, mine is way less highbrow, but I still got excited. And if she ever needs a sleep consultant, I'd like to nominate myself as tribute. Do you follow Pookie?
Pookie? No.
Campbell Puckett on TikTok and Instagram, and she goes by Pookie. Anyway, any Pookie fans, she's just announced that she's having her second baby. They've got their first baby, Paloma, and she's an influencer. They kind of came onto the influencer scene because she's just like such a babe, and she would do her like get ready with me and her outfit checks. And her husband would be like, Pookie is looking absolutely fire tonight. And that kind of like, forget that I am the research. His was, theirs was that Pookie is looking fire. And anyway, I'm along for the ride. They now have a brand and all of that. But yeah, she's just announced that she's having her second baby. And for me, that was exciting because I'm a Pookie fan.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so now I'm going to go and have to have a look straight after this recording. I'm going to go and find Pookie.
We know what Meg's doing.
You've given me so many people to look at recently. So
I probably spend way too much time online.
Oh gosh.
Nature of the
business.
social media job. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Pookie, if you need sleep help, we got you. We got you covered.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, let us be your jam too. How cool.
All right, what's your last for our fast 3 that's been a bit of a slower 3?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I just love the baby expos that are happening. I know there's one that was going on in Melbourne like last weekend, and it's always a big deal. There's always new products and so forth going out and about to the community and whatnot. And I know that there's a Sydney one that'll be coming up at some point. So yeah, I just love that there's so many new things all the time for expecting parents, new parents to get their chops around.
Yeah, and I think it just shows that, the world of baby sleep is ever evolving. There is always something new and fandangle. I mean, even the lullaby, and that even from having your first baby to your third or fourth baby, there is something new. And also, I just think it's a fun time. Like, I remember going to one of those expos when I was pregnant with my first, just to be swept up in the fun and the novelty of having a baby and being able to celebrate and feel special as well.
Yes,
like that
you do.
You have like a ticket to that.
Yeah. And the little show bags and all the great little gift things that they give back.
Actually, a girlfriend of mine, and she's just had her first ever baby. She actually won. She went to one of those expos and she won a maternity photo shoot. So
wow.
At like 28 weeks or something, she had won in her door prize, which is
that's cool.
They always are running great competitions. They also run often sort of live chats and podcast recordings. So maybe that's something that we could look to do one day for Nap Trapped. Maybe we could be at an expo.
Fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
we could
take this on the
expo.
road.
Yeah. Let's do a little poll. So we
yeah,
could do that. Anyone want to listen to us on the road?
But no, they're just a really fun way to sort of get into the mood of like, oh my goodness, I'm having another baby. I'm having a new baby. This is really special and exciting.
I know. Test run all the prams.
Prams. Maybe the lullaby will be there before you know it.
Oh, maybe Dr. Sujay will come and we can fangirl. We get him on our podcast. Oh my God.
At the baby expo. Okay. It's all coming together, folks.
Yeah.
Fast 3 has turned into a plan of action for us.
Yeah.
Basically about how to get Sujay on the pod. I think that is us for this week's episode of Nap Trapped. We can't wait to hear your thoughts and comments about the early rise protocol. And if you have questions that you would like us to answer in our little mini sleep detectives segment, as always, please send those through. You can find me, Sally, over at the Sleep Concierge and Beck over at the Sleep Centre. We are here to solve your baby sleep woes in a really, hopefully, no-nonsense way.
Thanks, everybody. Always lovely to be here. Let's catch you next week. Bye.
All right, bye.